Well, the expansion kind of flopped, didn't it? We only have a few new playable decks, and yeah, almost all the quests are yeah, pretty much just garbage, and that's putting it kindly. I've never seen decks with a win rate as low as most of these quest decks. So yeah, these quests, yeah, they need a significant change. So that's what I want to look at in this video. How can we make all these quests viable? Since the quests are so awful, they need some significant changes. Something like what happened to Imbue Paladin, where they made the hero power 1 mana. And that made the win rate go from like something in the 40% win rate to actually a playable deck. So we'll be looking at something like that. Although, yeah, quests are even worse than 40%, so we might even need something bigger. So that's what we're going over. And yeah, also I'll keep the quest all at 1 mana. I won't change anything about just the quest being a quest, 1 mana starting your hand. We'll just look at the effects on the card, on the reward, and maybe some other things. So let's get started with the first quest. What can we change about the Death Knight quest? And yeah, this one actually I climbed to yesterday with this one too, top 100. But yeah, most of the games I just tossed this in a mulligan because yeah, you just don't want it. It's only okay in like the very slow matchups, like against you know, Starship Death Knight or Control Warrior, that kind of stuff. So how can we make this card actually viable that you don't want to toss it in most matchups? And yeah, that might be kind of difficult because this card needs a lot of time to set up to do anything right. Because it's infinite, yeah, you need that time, and yeah, by itself, Tyrex, it's just an 8/8. You can just ignore it, right? In a meta where we can see 0 mana 8/8s come down on turn 4. Yeah, a 5 mana 8/8 isn't doing anything, and then you get a Terrace Grave, which is just 4 damage, which is also barely anything. So yeah, how can we make this viable? First of all, I think, yeah, the corpses should probably go down on this one so you can play it faster. 18 is actually a lot of corpses. It takes very, very long. Sometimes it's even slower than like the warrior quest, and yeah, that is not a viable quest to have in a game. Also, we'll probably need Tyrex to have something like Rush or Taunt. I'd probably give it something like Taunt. I think that's better than giving it Rush. Although Rush might actually be better, right? Because then after you play the second charge of this one, you can immediately get the Tyrex on the board, attack with it, it dies, and then you get another Terrace Grave. So maybe that's a bigger buff that it needs. But for now, maybe we need a Taunt and make it go like to 15 corpses, and then see how it is after that. I don't think this needs too huge of a buff because it doesn't require too much of a deck building. Some of the other cards, right, you can just slot this card into a Blood Unholy Death Knight deck anyway, and usually they already have a bunch of Corpse Spenders, so that's why I don't think this needs too big of a change, but yeah, it still needs a bit of a buff. And then we have that Demon Hunter quest, and yeah, this is one of those quests in the 20% win rate, and yeah, it kind of needs a big buff, but also this kind of quest can be really, really strong if yeah, the quest reward comes down very quickly, right? Just doubling up for the rest of the game on anything has always been powerful. Just look at stuff like Bran in Warrior. That was really strong, right? And yeah, this damage, it can be a lot of damage. Make every 2 damage become 4 damage. Like, you can actually win pretty fast with some of the damage cards. But yeah, the quest just needs to be faster. But how much faster is the question? I think the only thing we can do is change the number here to 15 times. You can make it like 10 or 12. 10 might be a bit too fast, but yeah, if you really want to make this, try and make it viable at least. I think 10 might be the number to go with. But yeah, you can also start with 12, because I feel like this is one of those quests that if you do it 1 turn faster, it really can skyrocket the win rate, although yeah, it is kind of what it needs. So maybe 12, 10 if you're feeling risky, because yeah, 1 AoE can almost single-handedly complete the quest then. It might be a little bit too fast. So I'd probably go with 12 for now and then see if it's anywhere close to viable. Then we have the Druid quest, and this quest, honestly, it's kind of hard to see how you buff this one, because yeah, the quest reward is insanely strong, the Everbloom. Like, the game is almost over if you get to that point. The thing is just, yeah, getting to the point of the Everbloom is pretty tough, because yeah, filling your board all 3 turns, that takes a while, and then you also lose a card, right, as a aggro deck, which is not what you want, although usually you don't need to play this quest on turn 1, because unlike other quests, you don't need to advance the quest immediately. Well, you can't even do that on turn 1. But yeah, you can play it later, but having to fill your board for 3 turns is really difficult, and yeah, that most decks can like deal with it, or like other aggro decks might be faster in getting on board, and then you just never get the chance to play the weapon. But yeah, how do you buff this? I feel like you don't buff actually the quest, making it fill your board only twice, that might be too easy, and then yeah, the quest reward, I don't think that needs any buff. So yeah, probably what it needs, if anything, right, is just Token Druid to be better. The quality of cards for like a Token Druid is lacking. So yeah, if you want to buff this quest, I think you more have to look at token cards and how they can improve instead of yeah, this one. Then the Hunter quest needs a big change, because Yeah, you need to build your deck around it, right, to be able to play those beasts, because you can't really complete it without building around the quest. But then what you get is a 5 mana 9 Rusher, which is, not too bad. But then you get 3 random beasts for 2 mana, and yeah, that doesn't really win the game, even though you kind of built your whole deck around it. So yeah, I think what we need to do, right, is make that shock better. I don't think there's much you can change about the food chain part. So how can we make shock better? First of all, something like discovering might be better, but you probably want to change it to any class you can get the beast from, not just from hunter. Otherwise, it's a very limited pool, and it would be a lot stronger if you can discover like wild gods from other classes. And on top of that, you might want to make the beast actually cost 1. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of making cards cost 1. But if we want to make this card viable, you might need a big buff like that. And also, why not add a 2 attack beast to this? I mean, you have to play 4 beast, right, to get there. So why not get 4 beast back off shock? So that's probably what I go for, discover the beast from any class. Then get a 2 cost attack, I should say, and then also maybe make them cost 1. I think that would be a pretty significant buff for this quest. And then we have the Mage quest, and this one is not too far off of viability, I'd say. So I really wouldn't change too much about it, like the Origin Stone. The reward is insanely strong, especially with some minions, although usually you have to play the spell package to just be able to survive early on, because of all the aggro decks, you can't really just play minions like Stone Defender and survive. And it also really depends on the future discovers what it gets, right? Because if there's some insane discover cards in the future, this can also get a lot better. So overall, yeah, I wouldn't change too much about this quest. If we do anything, right, just make it like discover 7 cards. It can already be pretty fast, although it might ruin the flavor a bit of discovering 8 cards and then getting a durability weapon. But we're looking here to make cards viable, not just have it work in terms of flavor. And then the Paladin quest, yeah, this one needs a big buff. No, just kidding. Yeah, this one needs a nerf if anything. But in this video, we're looking at how to make quests viable. And yeah, this quest doesn't need any help. Then the priest quest, well, this one feels kind of difficult because I feel like actually the quest reward is not terrible. The problem is just it doesn't have a deck to go into. Like, this is a card you would probably slot into a control priest deck. But yeah, control priest has been pretty awful for the past months, year or so. I've also made a video on that, why it's so bad. But yeah, the reasons, right? Just bad card roll / discover, although it got some better card roll this set. Just has no good board clears. Like, what do you use to clear the board really? There's just nothing. Like Holy Nova. Yeah, that isn't enough nowadays. And I think that is the main issue for this card. But how could you buff it? I mean, obviously we can reduce the requirement. We can make it cast 4 holy spells, 4 shadow spells. That could be a thing. Or we can just buff these minions. Like, you need to play 5 spells. Why not make these 5 stats, right? 5 attack, 5 health. And then you get 2 10/10s. Like, it's a small buff, but the card can use any help it can get, right? But I think, yeah, most of all, yeah, even if you make this 4/4 and then 10/10. And the one thing it really needs is, yeah, a good deck to go into. And it's kind of hard to change the quest for that unless you make it something completely broken, like cast 1 holy and shadow spell and it's already done. And I don't think that is very realistic. And here is the worst quest we have in the game right now. It's the rogue quest, Lion Weight. And yeah, this card needs some significant buffs. First of all, it can change, of course, shuffling cards, make it like 4 times, because yeah, 5 times. Yeah, it's really tough to do. There's just not that many shuffle cards. You have to play bad cards, like the 1 mana card that shuffles legendaries, the 4 mana card that shuffles tank cards, and yeah, none of them have a big immediate impact. And then yeah, you get usually a bad card of the 1 mana card that you don't want. Your draws get worse of both cards often. So yeah, I think the requirement has to go down as well if you really want to make this viable. On top of that, I think a Masked Dusk, why not give it stealth? Like, I think that's what we can do here. Just give the hero card stealth so you can actually survive, have those ninjas, and then start attacking with them and drawing your cards. The hero power, obviously, yeah, it's actually pretty broken, I'd say, the hero power. So this is not really the issue. And then the turtle ninjas, you could give them like rush, right? So you actually have an immediate impact as well when you play them. And then yeah, continue to have rush minions. Well, personally, I'd say I'm not the biggest fan of having like infinite rush minions the whole game, right? Like, if you actually deck playing for board, can kind of feel unwinnable, but we're looking at making these quests viable, and yeah, giving this rush top of the other changes might be just yeah, what it needs, right, to get out of the 20% win rate range. It needs a lot of buffs to be viable. And the Shaman quest doesn't have too many things you can change about it to make it viable. I mean, we basically have 2 numbers that we can change, right? It's request, play 7 minions. I mean, make it go down to 6 or even 5. If you want to really make it viable. And then we have adapt twice. You could maybe make it adapt 3 times to really make it viable, because yeah, if you're playing a deck like this, you're probably playing a deck full of minions, and yeah, those minions, They need to be strong, and giving them 3 adepts makes it more likely to get stuff like Divine Shield, extra health, extra attack, even poison. And yeah, that's kind of, I think, what this card needs, just more power when you play it, because even 2 adepts, yeah, it often doesn't really win the game, especially if you don't get like Divine Shield, and then still, all you do is play those tribal minions, and they're also pretty slow in winning the game. So what I'd probably just do is, yeah, adapt 3 times, and then play 6 minions, and see how viable it is after that. And for the Warlock quest, I feel like, yeah, we need to change, first of all, the temporary cards. How many you play, because 6 is actually quite a lot, so I'd probably put that at 5 if we want to make it viable. And then the Underfell Rift, I mean, I think actually the Underfell Rift is really strong, right? Getting these Fell Screamer, Raptor, or the Fellhorn, actually really good cards. They can really help you win, but yeah, they don't win by themselves. They're not quite good enough to win by themselves in Standard, but they're really nice cards to help you survive, take care of the board right, put up some pressure. So that's why I want to reduce it to 5, so you can play it in like more decks and not just build your whole deck around temporary cards, because I think that's the issue right now. To get this quest down fast, you need to build your whole deck around it, but then, yeah, your deck can't really have a win con, because your whole deck needs to be cheap, and then, yeah, the quest doesn't win, so you just don't win with the deck. And on top of that, we might need to make the Rift actually open when you complete the quest. I mean, it's escape the Underfell, right? So why not open it once you've escaped, so you don't have to spend the 5 mana on completing the quest, and then you can start getting those Fell Beasts immediately instead of having to play it, 5 mana left and do nothing else with your turn. So yeah, I think that's how this card can be viable, is make it 5 temporary cards and make the Underfell Rift cast immediately once it's complete. And then we have the Warrior quest. I think this is actually the highest win rate quest if you look at like the legend stats or high legend stats. I think, yeah, this quest doesn't need changing. Yeah, it's slow, but it also doesn't really have deck builder requirements. Like, yeah, you can't play it in aggro deck, obviously. But yeah, you just slot it in a slow deck and you forget about it, and then turn 11 you have the quest done. So yeah, I wouldn't change anything about it. I think it's just a powerful quest reward. It takes a while, but yeah, that's just what the quest is. And another thing we can change is, of course, this questing assistant here. It is a 2 mana 3/2, deal 2 damage, and yeah, that's just actually not good enough to have in standard. So yeah, if you want to help all the quests out, I feel like you need to significantly buff this card. So what you could do with this card maybe is make it a 1 mana 2/2, and then have it deal 3 damage to a minion. That way, yeah, it's a powerful 1-drop, right? You can easily fit it in your curve. Like 2 mana is very expensive. So I think, yeah, you need to make this card powerful to help the quest. And I think by making it a 1 mana 2/2 deal 3, you can help the quest overcome that early game where most of them really struggle in. I've also thought about including some wild cards to go back into standard, but to be honest, how many of these would you really play nowadays in a quest deck? Yeah, this one, I mean, in combo deck, but I don't think really the quests are much of a combo deck. Questing Explorer, yeah, they used to be really nice to play this on curve, but nowadays, yeah, 2/3 that draws a card, it's not even that great anymore, but I guess you could try putting it back in, but I don't think it's actually going to do a lot. 3 mana 3/4 discover a spell. I mean, we've had Konzu in Mage, which is actually just better than this card, right? Because you have another option, and that just saw no play in Mage anyway, so yeah, I don't think this would help either. And then we have the Sky General Crack, which, yeah, did see play back in the day, but again, this feels like one of those cards that was good back then, but nowadays, yeah, you just wouldn't play it. So I don't think any of these cards, adding them back for standard would help. And maybe some other cards you could add to standard to help some quests, right? Like, for example, we have Gul'dan's Gift, which gets you a temporary card. Like, maybe this could help the Warlock quest. You know, for Rogue, maybe a card like Felderai Strider, although this probably would be too expensive, but something like this, right? That just helps the quest decks with cards from the past that fit the theme. Like, you might want to add those kind of cards back to standard for a few decks if you want to really help them out, other than just, yeah, buffing those quests. And those are the suggestions I have for helping these quests become viable. Let me know in the comments what you think. What do you think would make these quests viable? What kind of buffs do they need? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and until next time.